said that down. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. October 20th, 2022. What are your options when you're stuck in the IRCC processing backlog? Can a federal member of parliament help speed up your family's or relatives' application? What can they really do? What can they not do? And will it help in any way? We will separate the facts from fiction today and how you can utilize your local MP, Member of Parliament in Canada, to help with an IRCC application follow-up, which may be stuck in limbo. And this means literally millions of people at this point during the recording of this live are stuck in this backlog. This is what we'll be covering in today's session, and then jump into our live questions and answers on our YouTube channel. I already see some questions from Lutz Schaefer. We will cover it right after our quick intro, a little bit discussion on members of parliament, and then back to the questions. My name is Reza, if you haven't figured that out yet, and I work with Ingwe Canada's immigration team, helping applicants move to Canada for themselves, their kids, business, or any of the above. Our office definitely can make this happen. I'm not an actual full-time YouTuber, but I work hands-on with our licensed team in Canada, working on actual applications and communicating with the immigration department on behalf of our clients, representing them, whether it's inside Canada or overseas. And these videos are made for the purpose of sharing our hands-on knowledge with our worldwide audience. And if you're thinking about immigrating, remember at Ingwe, we break down the barriers between countries so you can study, work, or invest in Canada. We're licensed and we help applicants just like yourself and your families. So in terms of Canadian immigration, how much can a local federal member of parliament help with an IRCC immigration application? Let's start with the fact that in Canada, we have both elected members of provincial parliament, MPPs, and federal members of parliament, MPs. The federal member of parliament has a direct line with Canadian Immigration Department, IRCC. Typically what this means is that IRCC has dedicated desk and staff specifically to respond to queries or concerns by federal members of parliament across Canada. So that's just a quick overview of what a member of parliament has access to and what it really means. So let's start with the basics. Who is eligible to request help from a local member of parliament or MP? Technically, almost anyone can go to a local MP's office in Canada, but in 99% of cases, they're most responsive to Canadian citizens. And that's because they're the voting members of the constituency, which means they voted for this MP or could potentially be a voter in future elections, even if they didn't vote for them in the previous election. So this makes sense, right? Because the MP is most responsive to voting constituencies. Of course, Canadian citizens can help assist their families or relatives who have immigration cases pending with IRCC as well. So Canadian companies and employers can also follow up with their local MPs on work permits and nominations stuck for their temporary foreign workers with the immigration department. The local MP's office will not refuse to help a Canadian PR or somebody with a TRV, temporary residency visa, but viewers be aware, don't expect a lot unless you've got a citizen helping you who resides in that local constituency. Here are the facts about how an MP can help with Canadian immigration applications through IRCC. 1, they have dedicated staff and assistants who will typically take care of all the immigration requests, and trust me, there's a lot of requests that they do receive through their office specifically for immigration, and especially in the past 2 years, it's become even worse. Number 2, they can check the status of an application. Typically, they make a request and the IRCC office gets back to them either within a week, few weeks. I've seen things go up to 4 weeks or even longer, up to 8 weeks. depending on the type of application. And they will receive an updated status. What's going on with that application? With this type of help, what this means is that they can perhaps find an application or reactivate it if the IRCC has lost it or it's stuck in IRCC limbo. Doesn't mean they make the request to reactivate it, but what I've noticed is that with applications inside of Canada, the IRCC magically ends up processing or rendering a decision within 4 to 6 weeks after this update status request has been sent by the local MP's office to the IRCC. With overseas offices, this is a mixed bag and they're not as responsive to embassies. It's important to seek your local MP's help after the application has passed the standard processing times published by IRCC on their website. Okay, so that's important. You can't just go there within a week or 2 weeks if it's not past the standard processing times on the IRCC website for that specific applications. So what an MP's office cannot do, they cannot approve or make an application by IRCC be processed. So they can't make it be processed faster. They cannot approve it. They cannot appeal or influence the IRCC application decision in any way. All they're capable of is requesting assistance from the dedicated IRCC desk, either for some generic advice or an update on the status of an existing application. They cannot file an application for you or help you submit an application. Before you go running to your local MP's office, you need to be aware of the following key points. Not all members of parliament are created equally, depending on how busy they are, what party they're affiliated to, and so forth. Some of them may not be as responsive as you would expect. You will need to make an appointment with the constituency office, and this has to be the office for the MP in your area where you reside as a Canadian voter. And you do not have to be a permanent resident or citizen to access this resource, but as I said before, it helps tremendously to have somebody who is a citizen and a constituent of that area to approach the MP's office, because registered voters are in the database, Elections Canada database, voter list. And you can find out your local MP's office easily online, and we've posted it on our website as well in this article. And there you have it, folks, the basic facts about how a local member of parliament, an MP, can help with an IRCC application. Facts versus fiction. If you have any great or horrible stories about your local MP's experience when you've approached them for help, well, we'd love to hear about it on our YouTube channel. And we will be jumping in to the questions and the comments right away. And again, remember, if you're thinking about immigrating to Canada through investment, business, work, sponsorship, skilled immigration, or studies, you are at the right place with Ingwe Canada. I can guarantee you one thing only: you will know what to expect, the entire process clearly laid out for you, and all the risks identified, where we can provide you, as our client, 100% support. No surprises, just results. We have a $1 million liability insurance which protects us and you from fraud or mistakes, and a dedicated client trust account with our Canadian banks. Our team speaks over 8 languages, and we help applicants from over 47 different countries with their Canadian immigration process. Click the link below this video to get a free email assessment, and if you know what you want, you're ready to apply, and only for 100% serious applicants, you can also book a one-on-one consultation with me using the consultation link in the description of this video. And remember, folks, we're here every week to answer your questions and comments live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at 11 a.m. every Thursday, North America Eastern Standard Time. This is when we answer all Canadian immigration questions on the spot for free. And you guessed that we're live now, so we're going to go to our questions and answers. So Lutz Schaefer, welcome. Make sure when I answer your question, you put a like button, because I get paid based on likes. No, I'm just kidding. If you don't want to put a like button, that's fine as well. Lutz Schaefer said there is a question about a 3-week visitor visa rejection due to insufficient funds. family ties and employment situation. Q1. So first question, how can one prove to have family ties? Question 2, net worth of the applicant. Okay, so let's start with the easy question about the net worth of the applicant. Depending on where they're applying from, obviously you have to show bank accounts with funds, whether those are cashable investments or cash in bank accounts. It doesn't matter where they are as long as they're under the applicant's name or the financial sponsor's name. If they're a mature applicant, typically having a parents or something doesn't make sense. If they're in their 40s, right, they should be a spouse or themselves typically. Income, employment income, right? You have pay stubs, employment contracts, reference letters, and proof that these salaries are going into their bank account. This is great. And assets, that's very important. Do they own property? Are they owner of a business? Do they have shares in a business? Do they have their own property? Do they have multiple properties? So assets and financials are key. If you're in certain countries, sometimes CPAs will be doing net worth audit reports on and verifying those assets for the embassy. So in India, for example, that's a common practice. In terms of proof of family ties, so what happens is it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes having too much family ties in Canada can hurt you if you don't have enough family ties in your home country, and vice versa. Like, who's inviting you? They're wondering, well, what happened? Like, why are you coming over? Like, what's the connection to Canada? At the same time, they have to look at your connection to your home country. So if your connection to your home country is really strong, but you have no connection to Canada, it can be an issue depending on your applicant's nationality, travel history, profile. And if you have very strong ties to Canada, all your whole family's there, and most of your families moved to Canada, and you're the only one stuck in your home country, that can also hurt your application, right? So it's got to be a balance. So I hope that's answered your question. Nasrima Ibrahim says, Dear Reza, hello. Thank you, Rosita. Hello back to you. Ella Montasseri, also known as Fufu, is saying hello. Hello back, Fufu. And Lutz Schaefer says, question number 3 about the visitor visa rejection. What exactly does it mean when IRCC says that employment situation is not established when this is not true? How can this argument be challenged in order to reapply? Well, Lutz Schaefer, as I said, employment stubs, pay stubs, employment contracts, reference letters, and if they only started working last 6 months, that's a red flag. But if they have multiple years of employment history in their home country with proof of these salaries going to their bank accounts, reference letters and contracts, then either the officer didn't look at it, right? And when you request the global case management system notes, you could, after refusal, that's standard practice. And if you notice that, hey, they didn't even notice the documents I did, then you immediately apply for reconsideration through the embassy, right? Maybe they made a mistake. They didn't look at all the documents you submitted, or there was an issue with the documents and they've raised a concern in those refusal notes that you can request from the embassy. So you've got to look at it. We can do reconsideration if you think there was a serious error, like there was a blatant mistake. Or 2, you can reapply, of course, as many times as you wish. I mean, don't go overboard with that. And you can also appeal in federal court if there was an error in law in terms of judicial review. But again, not everyone goes to court for a visitor visa. We have in the past, special cases. But yeah, so I hope that answers your question. Chineregu Ebube, special greetings to Teresa. Yeah, good to see you, Chineregu. I love seeing our regular audience online. Good to see everyone. Asanka Deme, I have an LMI offer. Is there any possibility to do biometric panel exam together if this both facility not available where I live? No, I mean, biometrics and medical are completely different, Asanka. They are not done in the same place, okay? Medical is done by a certified board physician for that country you're in, if there is one in your country, depending, hopefully. And biometrics is completely different as well. So they're not done in the same place. They are all sent to the same place for processing typically, but they're not done in the same. I tried to go via email, not sure if you received it. Lutz Schaefer, I will make it a point. Let me write this down. Lutz Schaefer email. I just hope you're using that name for the email too. Otherwise, I won't find it. I will take a look at it. I'm on the road today, but tomorrow for sure. Chinerago Abube says, hi Cereza. In an event one decides to domicile in Kitchener, Ontario, how long does it take to gain PR after 2 years course, 1 year PGWP? I learned it's lengthy in Ontario province due to vast population. So Chinerago, you got 2 types of programs. Well, 3. Federal, provincial, and rural regional. Okay, if you do federal, doesn't matter where you are unless you're in Quebec. Okay, in your Ontario, Alberta, federal programs are federal programs, right? Like startup, like express entry, startup visa, TR to PR pathways, right? Those stuff that we're waiting for years now from the Minister of Immigration. You know, it's like I love how all these immigration websites, including us, are posing, yeah, future TR to PR pathway come. Where is it? Like seriously. Anyways, I'm going off topic here. Chineragu. Then you've got provincial and rural regional, right? So in Kitchener, you've got federal, provincial. You don't have regional or rural. The provincial in Ontario, it's draws. It's difficult. I don't think it's that bad. It depends where you're comparing it to. Yeah, Saskatchewan is great. Nova Scotia is great. Ontario is good too if you're outside of the GTA, which is Kitchener. It's depending on your profile, Chineragu. It's not so somebody's profile can be good enough that in the provincial program in Ontario they're not going to be like set back, like whether they go to Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, who knows, right, or Alberta. But in certain cases, maybe those provinces would be more suitable. So you got to do an assessment, sort of like reverse engineering. Asanka says, Demel, hello sir, great, very valuable, no problem. Always share the wealth, folks. You know, I'm here to answer questions that I'm able to, of course. Chineregwe Bube says, secondly, if my course is meant to start, say, January 7th, but encounters some delays in arriving to Canada, do schools usually find it considerable granting some days grace period? Each school has their own deferral deadlines and policies, Chineregwe. I cannot generalize. To be honest with you, we have a dedicated education team that handles that, and what we've seen is every school is different. Some are more difficult to deal with, some are more flexible, more student oriented, and some are just money hungry, you know, and that's a reality, right? Canadian schools, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say no to that. MD Abdul Razak, and medical records also give them. Okay, yeah. So, Abdul Razak, I don't know the question that you're referring to, so I can't really answer it. But yeah, so there you go. Those are the questions that are being asked of us right now on YouTube. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, well, I do apologize. I cannot see your comments or questions. Our concentration is on YouTube right now, and that's where we put most of our content. And again, if there's questions or concerns, we're here every Thursday, 11 a.m. North America Eastern Standard Time. We do answer all the Canadian immigration questions that we're able to online, on the spot for free. The rest of the time, if you email us, yeah, well, it's not going to be on the spot for free, obviously, but this is the time we dedicate for the people. So that's you, folks, for the people, right? The rest of the time, it's about, our clients for the office. But if you need help and you just want some advice, Thursdays are it. Free advice for the world. Lutz Schaefer says, thank you, Reza. To question 3, the applicant's work history started about 2 years ago after university. So not much financial accumulation. To Q1, ties outside of Canada were meant. Oh, ties outside of Canada. Hold on, let me look at Q1. I think how can I have family ties? Yeah, so probably they don't have a lot of ties outside of Canada. So if they were doing a visa to Canada and they don't have strong profile for travel history, the officer's like, why are you going to Canada? Do you have an invitation letter? If you do, from whom? These are all factors, right? And then the third question, you said I've been work history about 2 years ago. I mean, it's okay. 2 years is way better than 6 months or a year. We typically like 3 years or more. But again, it depends how much money they're making. What's their position? Are they working for a multinational or a family grocery store? These are all factors that can affect the application's outcome and the officer's assessment of your temporary resident visa, right? So it's a tough one. In general, all I can say, if you're applying from non-visa exempt countries and that are more difficult to get visas, your travel history, your financial assets. If you have no assets, they're like, well, you're gonna put your money in your pocket, get your suitcase, and come to Canada and won't return, right? Unless you've got valid travel history that proves otherwise. So remember, folks, these are all important factors. Asanka Demel, sir, I mean that where I am living in the Caribbean, no physician available, no more embassies for Baira, so I have to travel to Jamaica. May I do these both exams same dates? Hi, Asanka. So maybe you're in Cuba, because I know in Cuba they don't have those processing centers. But yeah, you have to go to any other nearby location. There's no restriction. So yeah, if you're near Jamaica, they have it there. If you get an appointment, so you've got to book these appointments, Asanka, right? So if the board physician gives you an appointment for that day, so get your biometric, talk to the physician, see when you can correlate the booking date so they can be the same day. So it's just a matter of juggling both matters, so you call them or you go on the biometric site for Jamaica, you check what the dates are, then you go immediately, and you can book a date and then go immediately with the physician, doctor, or talk to them on the phone at the same time, see what dates they have, and just kind of correlate the two. That, it's basic administrative skill set. That's, I've done it before, actually, for some of my family. Lutz Schaefer says, yes, initiation letter I provide. Invitation letter, yeah. So, Lutz, they're going to look at your relationship. Like, are you a direct family member? And you have to prove that relationship. If you're not, even if you are, you need to prove that relationship, right? If it's not obvious to the officer. So it's important. And then they're going to look at the assets and travel histories anyways. So even if it's a sibling, those are the worst. They usually get refused in high refusal regions. Chiniero Guebuba says, excellent, answered by you, sir. A bunch of thanks. Keep up the amazing work to humanity. No problem, Chiniero. I appreciate the positive feedback. We are here to answer and give back to the international community on Thursdays, 11 a.m. That's the time we dedicate to answer your questions. The rest of the time we're busy, like you guys, jumping around, working, making, supporting our families, right? But Thursdays are dedicated for you for this time. I'm at Turks and Caicos Island. Okay, Asanka. Yeah, any location that's close to you, if it's Jamaica or any other island or anywhere, is fine. You can do it. You can book and go there with the letter regarding your application, the introduction letter for the biometric and the physician. I'm not sure if you're doing an upfront medical or you're doing a requested medical. Okay. So Lutz Schaefer says, future fiance if you remember. Okay. Lutz, my memory is bad, so I do remember some things, but not everything. But future fiance, unfortunately, they put no weight to that. And that's back into one of my YouTube videos done, about a year ago. If you have a future fiance, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, partner, but you're not together, there's no documented proof that you're common law or married or conjugal, then literally that invitation letter means nothing. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's a reality, and we've seen that with the embassies. Especially the Southeast Asia, Africa, Middle East. Hasnain Avan, dear Reza, I have a 5-year multiple US B1 B2 visa. Nice, Hasnain. I applied. I remember you, Hasnain. The name is very familiar to me. I don't know, here or somewhere. We've probably come. I've seen your name. I applied for Canada visitor visa, but they rejected and stated not satisfied. I will not leave Canada after stay. Interesting, Hasnain. Can you let me, your passport, like your nationality, and where you reside? Where did you apply from? And purpose of visit? Did you have an invitation letter? Did you put an itinerary? And your occupation, if you don't mind. I just want to just get an idea. But in general, you've got to request the Global Case Management System notes, which gives the detailed officer notes of why they refused. So it could have been a technicality, could have been an oversight, or could have been like, something wrong here. They weren't happy with some of the documentation or information that you provided. Okay, it doesn't happen a lot that a U.S. valid visa holder gets refused, but it may, depending on your nationality, residency, and purpose of visit, and previous immigration history. If you've had other refusals in the US or UK before you had this US visa, right? So these are all things to consider. Okay, folks? And anybody joining us now and you're like, what's this guy blabbing about? Well, we're a licensed immigration firm and we dedicate our Thursdays to answering your questions live at 11 a.m. North American Eastern Time to answering any immigration related Canadian questions, right? That's why we're here today. We do a quick presentation, as everyone knows, about a specific topic like the MPs. If you missed it, the recording of this video will be available in the next 10-15 minutes. You're going to watch it and that's where we talk about MPs. Right now we're just answering the live questions on our YouTube channel only, okay? So Safa Saleh Ahmad Al-Bahrani. Hi Reza, thanks for your cooperation. How long the process of a work permit and SUV will take after getting the letter of support? My nationality is Iraqi and I'm staying in the UAE. Thanks. Safa, great connecting with you. Work permits are typically taking 4.5, 6 months that I've seen in certain embassies. But in the UAE, because it's processed in Abu Dhabi, I would say minimum 6 months. Okay, so I would say you'd have to minimum 6 months. I've seen the UAE embassy being longer. Okay, so plan for 6 months minimum, whether it takes 8 months or 6 months. If it happens in 5 months, don't be upset at me. Be happy, but don't expect a lot in terms of before 6 months processing. Sometimes it's taking 8 months or more, but again, it depends on your embassy. It depends where you're applying from. And the UAE, I can guarantee you, is not fast, and they're very difficult, tricky embassy to deal with. Second after Poland in terms of Canadian visa processing centers. Lutz Schaefer says, we're looking for strategy, still hoping you might be able to help with that. Lutz, it's a tough one. Unless you're conjugal partners where you could do a sponsorship, they're going to look at the profile of your future fiance, right? Are they, what's happening? It's going to be a tough one. Easiest is just get on a plane, get married, sponsor. Okay, that's probably the best way I can say that. It more certainty than just reapplying or even taking federal court. It's a tough one. But again, folks, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, well, I'm reading the questions and comments on our YouTube channel audience and answering them live, right? We talked about the MP already, so if you missed that, in 10 minutes, you're going to see the recording of this video, and we talked about members of parliament, what they can do to help with your application or your family's application, and what they cannot do, and the reality versus fiction, okay? So if everyone's okay, we're going to sign off today. Thank you for joining us. And if you missed us, we're back here next Thursday, 11 a.m. North America Eastern Standard Time, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Yeah, sometimes I forget Instagram, Facebook, to be honest with you. And thank you for everyone's support. We love you, and we're here every Thursday to support the people. Thanks again. Take care, everyone. One last question before we go. Ejiro Igby says, can a student apply for business immigration while in Canada? Thanks. Yes, Ejiro. It depends on your profile. In theory, it's possible, but it may not be advisable depending on your situation. But yes, in theory, it is. Okay, I've got a couple more questions before I sign off. Charu Jain says, any chances of getting an ITA for 4D6? Charu, I don't know. But in terms of likelihood, I don't see it very likely. But I hope it will happen, because we also have a lot of people around us that are around the 480 right now. Anyone over 495 is I'm pretty sure will be selected. Over 490, good chance. Under 490, I'm not so sure. If it happens, please come back and let me know, Reza, I got selected. I would love that. But right now, it's not very likely. Maybe 25-30% max. Oh wow, all the questions came in just now when we were saying goodbye. Okay. Chinerigu says thank you. No, you're super, Chinerigu, not me. Unknown. Okay, I like that name. Whoa. Oh, there's a lot of, okay, unknown. I've seen your thing. I said I completed my IELTS. My score is 6.5 overall. I applied for student visa on 25th September in Quebec. My education cost 18,000. I showed 60,000. I'm from Bangladesh. Okay. Whoa. You're retyping everything too much. Yeah, it's the same question over and over. So if you're wondering if you will be approved or refused, I'm not sure. Bangladesh is not obviously very easy, but it depends on your age and education gap. Again, we can come back, and if you provide us more information next week, we'll be happy to help. Almond says very useful. Thank you, Almond. Hasnain says I'm Pakistani national, working last 18 years in Kuwait with international companies. Okay, so they're gonna look at, so Hasnain, get the notes regarding the refusal notes from the embassy. It's different from the refusal letter you received. They may be looking at your assets or your ties to Pakistan, not Kuwait, because you're a temporary resident there, right? So we gotta look at those notes first before we can generalize about why. And unknown says I'm 20 years old. If you have good income or the money, you're 20 years old, it seems like you've got a good case. So I would say you've got a good case. But again, who's your financial sponsor? How strong are your financials? You're young, so I like that. And you've got IL. So your chances should be good. Unknown. That's your name. Unknown. But I can't generalize right now because the information is not very specific. But that's fine, folks. We're out of here. They're going to kick us out. Yeah, I know. You're 20 years old, unknown. You have no education gap. So I give you good chances, but again, your application should be done properly, making sure those financials, the financial sponsor, the study plan, everything makes sense, and looks like you've got a good chance. But again, just generalizing here, folks, they're gonna kick me out here. Okay, they're like, Reza, you're talking too much, you're sitting here too much, other people want to come here and do their lives. So what can I say? We're out. Okay, unknown, you said my yearly earnings 250K. My sponsors, my parents. Yeah, you're good. 75, 80% chance approval if it was done correctly. Okay, folks, back next week. Take care. Stay safe. Thank you. Thank you to everyone.